Hi everyone, Carolyn here. Welcome back to Encounter Encouragement. Tonight we're going to talk about something a little bit controversial. We're going to talk, and I'm going to ask the question, is political correctness correct? Yes, I know this is very controversial, but let's hear one take on it. This is my take. It may not be yours. It was actually a requested topic of conversation. So let's get started. What is political correctness? I looked it up online and I found 3 different ways to look at it. One, I'm going to read this by the way. One says, the avoidance, often considered as taken to extremes, of forms of expression or action that are perceived to exclude, marginalize, or insult groups of people who are socially disadvantaged or discriminated against. Another way to look at it is that political correctness is a term used to describe language, policies, or measures that are intended to avoid offense or disadvantage to members of particular groups in society. At its worst, it is an attempt to change the way that people think by forcibly changing the way they speak. Now, I look at all these ways to look at it and I say, who are we talking about here? Now, I'm not going to say major specifics. I'm going to give larger groups, okay? We're talking about race. We're talking about gender. We're talking about age. We're talking about lifestyle choices. We're talking about jobs. We're talking about education. Things like this. People in these different types of groups stand to have political correctness used for them or against them, whichever way you look at it. I think to myself that if we were to look at people, as opposed to, here's a group of people, let's pick this group of people because they are X race, or they are X age group, or they are this job, or they are that gender. If we would look at people as people, wouldn't this world be a better place? We could certainly get along better if we treated everyone as a person. If we treat people like we treat ourselves, or like we treat our best friend, wouldn't this be better? When we try to pick apart and be so careful not to say anything negative or anything offensive or anything that could be remotely assumed to cause offense to somebody, in my opinion, we're raising a generation of sissies. How can you not speak about people as people when you determine that you can't use that term, it's going to offend somebody? Sometimes people are going to be offended whether you like it or not. Sometimes people are going to be offended not even by what you say, but how you say it, or just the tone of your voice. So I think we are going way overboard with political correctness, and I think that there should be less of it. I was brought up on a farm. There were 10 of us in the family, and guess what? We were often offended. And you know what? It was by our own siblings. It was by the kids who rode the bus. It was by the teachers. It was by people at church. It was by people in general. But we grew up. We don't have to treat people rudely just because they're a different race, gender, lifestyle choice different, age, education, job. We can choose to see people as part of the puzzle that we call life, part of the puzzle that we call the United States of America. Because if it's true that united we stand and divided we fall, what does that say about political correctness? Political correctness is dividing our nation as opposed to uniting it. It's telling us, ooh, can't talk about that group that way. Ooh, can't talk about that group that way. We're separating everybody into groups. What group do you belong in? What group do you belong in? See what I mean? But if we would say, hey, you're just another person. Let me talk to you about this. Or, hey, let me talk to you about that. I know you have a different job, but maybe we can learn something from each other. Hey, you know what? You're a different age, but maybe we can learn something. Hey, you have different lifestyle choices. Tell me about yours, I'll tell you about mine. We can learn from each other if we are uniting ourselves as opposed to dividing ourselves. Political correctness, in my opinion, and again, it's just my opinion, is an effort to divide people and forcibly change the way we think about people by changing the way we speak. Is it good? Maybe, maybe not. I'll let that be your choice. But I want you to think about that the next time that you are dividing people into groups based on age, gender, race, lifestyle choices, education, job. What good is going to come of that? What's the purpose? What's the intent? What's the expected outcome of dividing people? Then look at what your actual intent is. See if they match. If not, make a choice. I hope this has caused you to think a little bit. I know when the topic was brought up to me, it caused me to think a little bit. And I look forward to hearing some comments. Hopefully they're good, but you never know. I'll take the good with the bad. But in any case, I hope this helps you to think about seeing people as people so we can unite this country as opposed to divide it. Let's each and every one of us do our part to make this a better place. Thanks for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Until then, have a blessed night. Thanks, y'all.